I'd like to discuss the other 3D procedural maps, and I'll demonstrate the use of noise, which is one of the most commonly used maps. I'll map it into the diffuse color component. But before I do, let me just discuss the other 3D maps. They create different patterns, and now that you've seen how 3D maps work, with the example of cellular, you can go ahead and experiment with these other maps on your own. There's a marble map, a Perlin marble map, which is a different kind of algorithm. Dent creates a certain kind of texture, as you can see from the preview here. Another way of viewing this is to look at these as large icons, and then you can get a sense immediately of what kind of patterns are prototypical for these maps. There are some architecturally specific maps like speckle, splat, stucco, and wood, and these can come in handy once in a while, but you're probably better off using bitmaps of real-world materials. Noise is a map that is really indispensable for creating random patterns. I'll choose it here, and remember that 3D maps do not require texture coordinates. So here I have a box primitive that doesn't have its own mapping chords. We're just going to use the geometry of the object to map the coordinates of this algorithm. And we're just going to experiment here with the noise parameters to create a plastered wall. Right now the noise is rather large. The random variations are blurry, and they are kind of too large of a scale right now to simulate plaster. I'm going to bring that size down, maybe to 2, and then that will show us that we're dealing with roughly the right scale. I'll also turn down the noise threshold. You can either turn down high or turn up low. The threshold values vary from 0 to 1. The idea is that the noise algorithm is mathematical and its values vary from 0 to 1. If I turn down the threshold here from 1 to say 0.5, then any of the noise values that are above 0.5 are going to be considered high, and that moves them into color slot number 2. In this way, I'm able to brighten or darken the resulting noise map by changing the high or low threshold values. Now, I don't want to deal with black and white. That's too contrasty. I'll set the color number 2 color as my intended paint color or plastered color. For that, I think I'll use a yellow hue, maybe tending more into the brown range. And I'll bring up the whiteness just slightly to make it off-white. Then I'll copy color number 2 into color number 1 by dragging the color swatch. Now that the colors are identical, we're not seeing the pattern at all. I'll make color number 1 just a little bit darker by decreasing its value. And then we're going to be able to perceive that pattern starting to appear here. Don't go too far. Make it pretty subtle. And you'll be able to see that plastered wall appear. Now, to make this more interesting, I'm going to use another map. And I'm kind of jumping ahead here. I'm going to cover this more in simulating surface relief. But I'll show you this now. Go up to Parent, and then open the Maps rollout. Here you can see the noise map that we just applied is in the diffuse color component. I'd like to instance that map into the bump component. The bump component simulates surface relief. To do that, I'm just going to drag this button down here and drop it in the bump component slot. I'm prompted what I want to do with that map. In this case, I'll instance it so that the maps share the same parameters. And if you look closely, you might have perceived a subtle difference there, but it wasn't much. To emphasize the bump, I'm going to go into that map and wrap it within an output map. I'll click on the map type here and choose Output, and I'll keep this map as a submap. So let me open the navigator and you can see what's happening here. So we have the noise map in the diffuse color channel, and we have an instanced noise map down here nested within an output map. Got that? The output map is like a wrapper that can alter what's inside of it. I'm going to turn up the bump amount here to 3. And you'll see that pattern come out of the wall. It's as if it's surface relief now on the wall. So that's food for thought. And I know I've jumped ahead a little bit here with simulating some of the surface relief. But notice how I did that with the same noise map. Because it's instanced, I can go into it and make a change. Let's say I'm going to change the size down to 1. And it's going to affect both the bump and the diffuse color simultaneously because they're both instancing these same parameters right here.